this is me starting over again on my part of the race. Unfortunately, the stream didn't record last time, so I thought, oh screw it, just start over. Try to find a suitably random set of face and stuff. All of these options can be changed later on, so it doesn't matter terribly much, but that'll do. Horrible jacket. Let's get rid of the glasses and the coat. Yeah, I quite like that coat. That'll do. So, and let's make him short. Actual height doesn't make any impact in the game, it's purely for aesthetics. Ian A. Wallish Smith. So we now get the stuff which is all about the sort of pre-game goings on. Feel free to watch this in your own time. I'm just going to skip through it, to be honest. Now there is a little sort of tutorial which you run through at the beginning, showing off what can be done, and I'm going to have to just quickly sort out all of my UI options which are not set how I like them. Obviously, if this is my first time playing, then I'm not sure I would have worried about any of this. But because I'm set in my ways, I know how I like to play. Meetup requests, always accept, and all of that looks fine. I'm now going to quickly unlock my UI. Move it about a wee bit. Just get everything into the place where I am used to having it all. Right. So as a Wallish, I am taking the option of going for the solo player experience. I've done it this way before, and I've nearly forgot that option. Turn off double tap to dodge and down in combat. There we go. Turn on the HUDs, name tags. I like to see a lot of health bars. I'm weird that way, what can I say? Helps me to spot stuff. So yes, I'm going to be skipping through as many cutscenes as I get, just to speed up the experience of it. I would heartily recommend watching every cutscene at least once. I've watched them all repeatedly, so kind of go for the quick option. So I'm going to play through this initial bit purely because my competitor did as well, and so in keeping things even with the amount of content that we've both experienced. Oh, she got eaten. Never pretty when that happens.
Watch out!
Nice shooting!
gone viral so fast. If this gets out into Tokyo, it doesn't. We stop it here, whatever it takes.
I do not remember that. Other than like this initial bit. I would explain why it's got quite such a slow animation to it. So we're now going to run down. The idea of a filth bit going up in Kaidan is a fun one. Yeah, in Secret World movement is very important. There are very few abilities which force you to stand still. Most of the time you are better off moving. You can, particularly when you're running solo, you can actually reduce the amount of damage which you take, which is pretty important. If you're grouped up, it matters less because single target, right? Yeah. If you're grouped up, then you'll have a healer running with you, which makes life much better. But for little old me, that's not going to happen. I'm not really having to think about where I'm at the game. I'm a little bit concerned the fact that my health isn't regenerating. There it goes. But yes, my main attack at the moment is a cone attack, so I don't really have to be terribly concerned about targeting. But I now have a nice consumer in out for a kill, which is instant. I can turn my sprint on, and I'm not entirely sure why we bothered running down to that platform. Not entirely sure where I'm meant to be going at the moment. Where did everybody go? Oh, we decided to back up and then go forwards again. That's weird. Oh, I meant to go through there. Whoops. So yeah, as you can see, pump a load of shotgun rounds into something and it doesn't last very long. Fantastic lighting in Secret World. So here we have Zuberi. He's an unaffiliated man of magic. So he's not in any particular faction, but turns up basically to help us out whenever stuff gets a little bit too hairy. We also have the Orochi. Orochi is a sort of big corporation which you encounter more and more about as you go through the game. They have a lot of sort of basically red shirt foot soldiers out there to die, and they have their headquarters in Tokyo. It's pretty much right next to where the bomb has gone off, so you may be able to talk about what's going on within that. Lots of environmental sectors. Went down nice and quick.
The gate's opening.
Fight your way through the gate. That's never good news.
Yep, bad news. We're not stopping.
All to hold us back. Top marks for effort. Someone has to push through. This confusion Destruction may be all the time we have.
Got myself a bit of distance there just by using a hinder.
Go! Go!
Yeah, there are different states which are set,
Look out!
which
It's
have
all coming down!
effects which are pretty common to MMOs, but you then have different abilities which have synergies. So you'll get some where if you're attacking an enemy that has the afflicted state on them, which is basically they've got a damage over time on them for experienced MMO players. There's other ones where you can set various weakened states, where you can reduce the amount of damage that they deal, reduce the amount of damage that
You look like you've just seen the end of the cosmos, mate.
reduce the amount of healing that they are able to receive, and you can increase the amount of damage which they take, which is very nice. There's different things about sort of who in a group will do most of that. I would suggest that you have a look at Demon Elight's feed about that, as he's going to be grouping and I'm not. But as a soloer, one of the most useful states to be able to set is impaired, which is basically you're unable to act. In different circumstances that can be used as an interrupt, so if something nasty is being cast you can stop it.
Haven't you got somewhere to be?
If everything is going horribly wrong, you can buy yourselves a few seconds additional survival time by impairing everybody, and you can sort of use that time either to heal up or to deal some extra damage and possibly kill off a couple of the mobs which are beating on you. So through I go to weapon selection. Crucible, it's a lovely place to hang out, drink, and you know, shoot chained up demons. Now, this place actually gets used by endgame players for testing out their own personal DPS, because you've got nice static targets, and you'll be able to just basically wail on them to get a good idea of how much damage you're doing. So from previous experience I know what weapons I want to use, and so sort of I would definitely recommend going and having a look at what each of the different weapons do. There are different ranges, so you have melee weapons which are over here, and then you have ranged weapons, basically the guns, and then magic. Chaos magic is actually mostly melee, and the other two are light and ranged. So I'm going to go up and I need to use both of my melee consumers. So that's 2 and 4. Now I just smack it about with my builder. You build resources and then use consumers. You don't have to build to 5 resources before you use consumer. You will hit hardest that way in most cases. Magic is a little bit unusual in that Blood and Elemental both have resource consumers which have fixed costs. So with most consumer abilities, if you look at the wheel, then just expand this up. So this attack will deal 51 to 101 physical damage depending on the number of resources I've got. If you look down in Elemental, which sort of haven't quite got this far yet, but so Flame Strike, however, consumes 2 elemental resources. That's fixed. So you couldn't do a 5 resource element Flame Strike, which there are times when that's a good thing, there are times when sort of that's a little bit irritating in terms of working out your best damage rotation. So I'm going to spend skill points in my weapons to start off with, just so that if I do get any upgrades drop, then I can immediately start equipping them. As I won't be grouping up and doing any dungeons as I level, pretty much all of my gear improvements are going to be coming from quest rewards and just random items dropping in the world for me. Yes, Mr. Sonic, I know. Right, here we go. When you're outside of combat, you can sprint, as indeed it says. Early on, sprint is you increase your movement speed by 50%. That goes up to, it's something like 150% movement speed increase when you get the max level of sprint, and you really do notice the difference. So, into the tube station and down into Agartha, the World Tree. This is the ancient myth that the Earth is in fact hollow, and there's this massive tree inside the Earth which is linked to all points in space and time and stuff like that. So we should actually be able to travel in time using Agartha, which I'm not sure that we've experienced yet, but there's always future updates. So here are my fellow secret worlders, who I am going to have little to nothing to do with to start off with. You can quickly move along the branches using these portals. It gives it a nice feeling of space, but occasionally you miss them, which is dreadfully embarrassing. And into Kingsmouth town we go. Kingsmouth has had an unfortunate issue where a strange fog has rolled in, and most of the town turned and walked out to sea in the fog. A handful of survivors remain, and everyone kind of wants to know why. Both why are there survivors and why do people just actually walk out to sea. So I've just been given my first talisman, which you can access through C. So that's my head talisman. More cutscenes, yay! So, it's giving me suggestions. Jack Boone, psychopath sitting outside his tent shooting zombies in the head. Awesome guy. Brilliant at dinner parties, I hear. So, I need to quickly move my abilities around, because I have a history of having them set up in a certain way, and so set my ways again. So I'm not actually hitting as hard as I did when I was down in the sewer, but yeah, still doing the job. These guys don't hit hard, gives you plenty of time to get used to what they're doing. So this car has an alarm on it, which shockingly actually attracts mobs. There are various mechanics set into them which are reminiscent of what would actually happen in life. So I've got more ability points, yay! Now, what I'm immediately going to go for, I think, is I'm going to start buying passives in, well, I can start buying abilities. To buy this particular passive, Elemental Force, absolutely brilliant for damage rotations, and as I'm going to be running around on my own lot, I'm going to want as much damage as I can. You'll see that this elemental ability is actually greyed out on my bar. I can only use 2 weapons at once, so I may as well just drop that. The passives though, any time I crit I get damage over time, on the target, and this one, basically every 8th attack of mine will automatically crit, which is nice. I'm going to jump on this car to get some zombies going around. Jump through the fire like crazy. Almost killed me. Heading onwards, I am still on fire. As such, I have no way to actually regen my health. And this little bit down here shows that I'm still in combat. So I'm going to stop that just by... Oh, stopped itself. Excellent. You can't pick up new missions whilst you're in combat. So I'm going to grab this side mission, go and deliver some additional ammunition to the good fellows at the police department. And then this icon here, I've got a add-on set up to basically count to 840, which is nice of it. That means that I have a visual cue to tell me how close I am to getting a automatic attack, automatic crit rather. So I'm off to the sheriff's station to go and find some survivors. Sheriff station, understandably, constant under attack. This is basically a place of safety. And now I'm going to get myself a sword. I'm getting the sword just because sort of it's the one which I'm going to be doing most of my attacking with. Now I'm going to grab that as a healing passive, so that whenever I penetrate, I will get a small heal over time. It's not going to do much, but hopefully it will help to keep me alive for a wee bit. Now, over here, this is a mission about learning how to craft weapons. The craft system is very simple in Secret World. As long as you have the materials, you're basically able to craft absolutely anything in the game. This is I've actually got an add-on which slightly adds stuff to my crafting window. I think this is... Oh. Apparently I don't know how to shape this, so I can quickly check on the handy manual, and I want to make a fist weapon because I've already got a sword, so I may as well make a fist. Now I'm actually going to get to keep this. Then you get a little toolkit which they provide, and there's my fist weapon. So this is the one I've just taken off compared to the 75 weapon power which I had. The ones which you get to start, you can't sell them, so you just delete them. Already starting to get some Pax Romana and Black Bullion from missions, which is nice. And I can now actually claim all of the deliverables from the item store, which I have bought or come with the package which I've got. So because I've been playing for a while, I've got a lot of stuff. Right, where is everything? So, Screaming Demon Ring, love it. Temple Cat, I'll get that, but I probably won't be wearing it actually. Time Accelerator is a big one. Basically you get increased XP for an hour and it's reusable. I think I'm going to claim my horse head, and I think I'm going to have a almost run around in a horse head. I have a weird thing where most of my characters wear masks of one type or another. Yeah, none of the original sort of buying packs that you can get, so like you can buy the Initiate pack and the Master pack, and yeah, which contains basically weapons, outfits, or a little kit. All of that, they give useful bonuses, but they're not game breaking. So, most importantly, go to the dressing room and let's get his face on. Like it. Right, now I'm going to go to my claimed items, delivered items, and put on my Screaming Demon Ring. Actually, I might just quickly see if Lopusca is around and check with him about whether he was using the Screaming Demon Ring or... apparently I need to reduce the sound so that you guys can hear me better. Hopefully that'll do. I'm not going to claim that yet, just whilst I check to see what Hlop thinks about the Demon Ring. And yes, so now my Temple Cat will actually give me additional experience as soon as I start running around with him out. So I'm not going to... Ah! Okay, I've just been told to use it. Awesome. Huzzah! So quickly go to Demon Ring. You'll get, if you... a database error. There we go. If you are running with groups, then you'll get a green version of this ring from completing Polaris, which is pretty handy. Find a local phone book. I've just run straight past one. Okay. So I'm going to go and scavenge a load of stuff. See what I can't gather up for the good survivors of King's Mouth. Now you get these little sort of map leaders which give you an idea of where's best to go for the next step of your mission. You won't always get them depending on the mission, but yeah, they're a nice little thing. Just a quick word about my UI. I use quite a heavily modified UI with lots of different add-ons. None of them are terribly mandatory, particularly whilst you're leveling. You can get away with really just using the stuff which is present in the basic UI. Frankly, it's mostly just for me, sort of, I like my stuff where I like my stuff, and it's a little bit stupid, but I'm set in my ways and have my... What was that saying? Oh, no. Oh yeah, talking about states. So, rude of me, but we're going to run along the countertop. Now, I can't just click on stuff, or a lot of the time you can hit U to pick up stuff as well. You, as you can see, didn't work for me there. Oh, 3 ability points. Excellent. So now I can get my AoE builder. AoEs do less damage than single target stuff, but when you're dealing with just big packs of mobs, they really are very useful to have. Personally, I like to do it so that I have a at least one AoE builder and at least one single target builder, basically just for so that I'm able to sort of change as I need them. As I'm running around with a couple of melee weapons, I actually have full resources right at the start of a fight. If you're using magic, then you have to generate resources before you're able to attack, and you build them on yourself, just like melee, and they will persist after you leave combat. If you're using guns, then you'll build resources on your target, but sort of as soon as your target is dead, all of those builders are gone as well. Find Flag's Pharmacy, who has sensibly locked up well and good. Who knows, maybe he was out of town for the weekend. You can only hope for him. So, Volunteer Fire Department. Not entirely sure who's been circling all of these phone books in red, but bless them. As we run past, there's a little side mission here which I can grab. So I'm going to nip back up to the church. Side missions are really good at taking you places that you haven't necessarily been before. Because you're limited in the number of missions which you're able to actually carry at any one time, a lot of the time side missions will be the prompt for you to go to different areas. So here's the church. 576 is the first hymn on the board. So go and use the loose stone and use the hidden keypad in the floor. Oh, those crazy Illuminati. Okay, so I've got 2 skill points now, so I'm going to pop them into major and minor talismans, basically because I've already got a head talisman on. Hopefully save me a little bit of time. Now you can make as many bags as you like just using this little plus sign, and then hit the garbage bin to remove them. All of these materials can either be hoarded and you can upgrade them into different qualities of material later on when you have lots of them, or this early on you can frankly sell them. It depends on whether you feel that you would benefit more from having the packs, or sort of if the packs isn't going to mean much to you. So I'm running around plucking first aid kits off of the wall. Getting a lot of glance and sort of quite a few blocks here. Basically the zombie firefighters are fairly tanky, which means that they've got high defensive stats, so are managing to reduce the amount of damage that I'm doing. Arguably, as a sort of solo player, I can actually run around with defensive stats on my gear. On the downside, that means that you're not going to have as many offensive stats, fairly obviously, limited stat budget. And so, personally, I prefer damage over sort of taking a really long time to kill anything. It's personal preference, but there are various abilities which the mobs will have where sort of they will be able to regenerate health, or sort of they will hit harder, and just whilst it can be a viable strategy to have a load of defensive stats on yourself and just not take that much damage, it will just massively slow you down. So my option to get some skill stats pays off. Okay, now having completed that mission, they're willing to give me a slightly more advanced mission, which is all about sabotage. Now in this mission I am not going to be called on to actively kill stuff. Instead, it's once again I run straight past the phone book. Instead I'm going to be sneaking around trying to not get caught. So they want me to set up a camera network. I do find myself wondering how on earth that guy got on top of that sign. So I'm now going to nip over to the savings and loans. Just a word about looting quickly. I use V to automatically sort of grab all the loot bags in the area that I can. That will only grab my loot. Sort of, it's not going to pinch anyone else's loot, and it just means that sort of instead of slowly looking at a bag and going, oh, I wonder if I should take that, it just means that I just grab it and move on. Next one is up on top of that roof again, so I need to find a way up. Fortunately, there's a ladder. Man on a horse head carrying a sword on a ladder. Almost feel there's an opportunity for slapstick comedy here. Do kind of wonder who on earth sort of leaves a note on a broken camera, but yeah, we'll let them off. And so this is the point where it's all going to get a bit sneaky. There will be stuff to avoid, lasers, security cameras, and this is pretty unforgiving. If you trip a laser wire, then whilst the filthy janitor, who any moment now will turn and run this way. No? Not feeling like it? Fair enough. Ask the janitor about the camera, sir. So yeah, you have to jump over. If you do touch any of the laser trip wires, it will set off explosives and you dead. It's not a problem, but you're going to have to start back at the beginning. So I'm just going to run around and turn off as much of the security system as I can. Those were fixed position cameras. Most of them will move. You can see from the lighting on the floor. Yeah, this one's a moving camera, so as you can see, light moving there. Oh, it nearly triggered me, caught me, but apparently I wasn't seen and I didn't trip any traps, so my achievement is still going. Gonna pop sprint on and run up to hopefully stand just underneath the camera in its blind spot. Beautiful. And that should be achievement done. Oh. That yellow line is what happens when you're spotted by a camera. Basically you have the opportunity to get out of the way, but when that line goes red, you have then been spotted and it will set off alarms and yeah, I don't know whether this is bugged, because I don't know if one is meant to be fighting the janitor or just saying, "You poor bastard, there's a tentacle coming out of your head." But anyway, I survived, which is the important thing. So this also means that I now have enough ability points to buy a Dancing Blade. So Dancing Blade is a single target consumer, which is really going to up my damage on single targets. Particularly when combined with Elemental Force, I can then get all of the parts of it to critically hit, which is sort of 5 hits. So I'm going to pick up a random parcel from the Postal Service. I've never been entirely able to work out whether there is actually any rhyme or reason. So this is going to tell me to go to Raven's Knock, which is just here, which is actually going to be a really great place to go after I've finished off mounting these cameras and making everything secure for the lovely sheriff. So I'm going to be putting a camera into each of these areas. The path doesn't terribly matter, other than the fact that I'm going to be a bit stupid and actually run through a load of mobs. You can do a certain amount of kiting and get away with just dragging stuff behind you, and as long as you've got a point blank AoE attack, then basically you just sort of swing your weapon around you, and it doesn't actually need you to have a target. If I were to be using one of my single target attacks like Claw or Delicate Strike, then I'd need to actually have an enemy mob selected, or it won't let me sort of press the button. So there's one there, and I think I'm going to go and kill those guys, because always good to be killing zombies. Add that up, and see, it's just fantastic having a guy on a horse's head running around, frankly. Okay, so that's got all of my cameras up. Now I can nip down to the police station. If I've been thinking about it, I could probably have jumped that fence, but I'll use the gap instead. And then the computer. So station security, initialize. Now you can look through the different cameras and see stuff, but as I'm in a bit of a rush, I'm not going to bother. Now, because I've got Elemental Force, I'm actually going to grab another random passive, which is Brawler, which will increase my crit power by 15%. That is not 15% of my current crit power, that is a flat additional 15%. Which is a really nice bonus. It's found in a lot of endgame DPS builds, because frankly having a passive that will give you that much crit power is a really, really nice thing. And we are off to the Raven's Knock. So initially I'm just going to go and drop the post into the post box, or mailbox if you're American, and then head downstairs to meet Madame Roger. I'm actually going to quickly go through the process of making a glyph, well, putting a glyph into a weapon. So that's the pattern for making a glyph. They need to be all of the same quality. So what have I got? I've got Raven's Knock runes, which are useless for everything else, which is fine. And then a glyph toolkit, and that will give me an accurate glyph. Now annoyingly I have to put it onto my Chaos Focus. I say annoyingly because I actually don't have a glyph on my fist weapon currently. Ooh. I also have dice in my inventory. I think I'll equip them. So, sand, and collect. Yeah, unfortunately I don't know if I'm able to. Settings don't allow that to be disassembled. That's a little bit weird. Is that better? Okay, so I can't actually disassemble it anyway. Yeah. I may as well just delete it. It's only worth 1 pax. And indeed the same for my sword, which is worth 0 pax. Just take out space in my inventory. I've got 25,000 at the moment, and it will cost me 10,000 to expand my bags. Which, yeah, may as well. So, we're going to pick up the Raven from Madame Roger. This is one of the times when we're going to start sort of seeing a bit more interaction with our area. So, there's a Raven on the floor, and I need to basically chase him and his fellows down. And every time that I reach another pack, they'll move off in a different direction, leading me to my next path. So these guys are actually going to summon a Revenant. Now he's doing a channeled attack that where he's not turning, so by moving around him I avoided all of his damage. Wahahaha. So there are ravens up there. Sometimes you really do have to look around for these boys. Obviously, having run this before, that gives me a bit of an advantage, but it can be quite easy to get turned around. Oh, Mr. Freezy. The mob back there is a rare spawn. And so I'm a little bit torn as to whether I should quickly go and kill the rare spawn, knowing that I can come back to where I am currently and pick up the next stage of the mission. So yeah, I'm gonna go and kill Mr. Freezy. So I'm holding off using my consumers until I've got them up to a high count of elemental force. That's basically just so that I can make sure that I force crit the right ability, which in this case is going to be Dancing Blade. And yeah, that was not too hard, but didn't exactly get me anything. So this is where I need to be looking for more ravens, and you can see up here in the mini map that the circle to look in is going off in this direction. So if I follow the path on the road, and there they are. And more ravens, and you might notice that there are more and more of them every time. And then there's a load of ravens circling around here, which means that I'm going to get another revenant. So there are sort of like these tells which the game is telling you about, and indicating that something's about to happen. So next ones, I'm going to head to the middle of the circle, and by gum, there they are. Right. So head back this way. And here they all are. So you can examine the note, which will tell you about sort of place feathers at northwest, southwest, north, south, and east. So west was not one of them. North was. Pop a feather there. Northeast was not. East was. Southeast not. South was. See, that afflict is caused by the ability which he cast, and I didn't move out of properly. Oh well. So let's put a skill point there. So fist healings. Not going to worry about that for now. Might quickly spend those. Actually, I might get another heal on me, and I'm going to drop the fist attack, which means I'm also going to take out the passive associated with it. Nurture's already in, so, and I'm going to put Lick Your Wounds, which is a terrible little heal, but it's better than nothing. At the moment, I've got exposed weakness. I'm not impairing at all, so there's no point in having it. Is there anything else which would be useful? Now, ideally, I'd like sharp blades to increase my damage done. I might also... yeah, I'm going to buy Perfect Storm so that whenever I use my AoE builder, I apply Afflicted. Right, so... yeah, that particular one was me playing... if you right click anywhere on the map, you can add your own personal markers. They will persist through all of your characters. So even though I've just done a completely new one, I still have the insults I was writing to myself, which is nice. An unfortunate corpse. I wonder if there's a fortunate corpse. So I can now equip my Revenant Ashes, and I don't think, no, I can't disassemble the QL0 Ashes, but I can hop over the fence. I pick up the trail of a box of squid. So there are just boxes strewn around the place where something has had some calamari for dinner and not cleaned up after itself. So now using this, the big guy is going to turn up. Fortunately, I'm already on 7 counters. Oh, will I be able to get him before he gets me? Oh yeah, there we go. So that fight slightly exemplifies the whole theory about damage versus survivability. If I'd had lower damage, then I would not have been able to stop that cast, which I don't think it would be enough damage to kill me, but sort of it would have definitely been a big chunk of damage, which, as it is, I didn't have to actually take. So overall, less mitigation. Ooh, helicopter. Less mitigation means more. Means less damage. Stuff. Yeah. So I'm just going to run back to the sheriff's station. I can quick travel around by leaping to the animal wells, which is where I res if I die. But at the moment, sort of, the Kingsmouth does not have many animal wells in it. And just resize the map just by mouse wheel. Now, many of these missions are now coming up as normal. That means that I've improved my gear level to the point where sort of the game reckons that those missions are fine for me. If I jump down here, then I think that, yeah, Uncertainty Principle is devastatingly hard. Now, instead of the game going, wow, you're awesome, you should totally sort of receive like big props for completing this, instead it will actually penalise you for doing missions that are sort of considered outside of your difficulty bracket. So if you were to go to a higher zone with a chum, obviously as I'm playing on my own, I'm not going to have any of them at the minute. But if you persuaded a cabal mate or a friend to come and sort of boost you, then instead of it giving you the power leveling experience, which most games will, actually you'll end up getting less. So if you do have friends, awesome. Get them to come and help you in your zone. They will still get the same amount of XP that you do. The game doesn't reduce that amount. Instead, what it does is that sort of the later levels, the later areas rather, actually give a lot more XP. But they'll never be penalised in terms of receiving less XP than they would have for coming and helping you out, which is nice. So lots of killing there, and I got an assault rifle and a blood focus out of it, neither of which is a fist weapon. Damn you! Oh, hello. Zombies are attacking from the south, somewhere. Oh, here come the cops.
Coming in from the south side now. We got some more trouble on the south barricade.
Now I could sort of take these on more singly and get some help from the cops to be taking them down, but I'm fairly confident in my own ability to just chomp through them all.
Looks as though we got the situation.
Okay, so that's completed that. I'm now going to go and find out what the source is. And something's telling me that it might be a big lobster guy. And just call it psychic intuition or something. Now, I can actually build fist resources using my heal. It won't build resources for both weapons, just for the fist. But in situations where you're still in combat, but sort of not actually able to attack at that particular point, it can just be a useful thing. Okay, so... oh gosh, it's a big lobster guy. Zoidberg would be proud. And yep, he's summoning zombies. So we're now switching to single target attacks. Don't actually have a single target fist consumer, but it'll do. Have I got a neck talisman yet? I'm not sure if I do. Awesome. So using C, I can see that I still have a fairly incomplete load of talismans. That's a heal talisman, fairly obviously, which is why it has heal rating on it. And I could wear it, but I'm not gonna, because I like doing damage. It's useful to have some items of heal gear to increase the effect of passives, but remember, every attack rating item that you take off is going to be less damage done. Yeah, ultimately you're going to have to try and balance out that kind of decision. So, severed hand, lovely. Eric and Mindy. Bound by love, separated by death. So, go to the graveyard. Such a romantic location. Oop, someone else is doing that as well. Stop following me. Now, as you upgrade your sprint, you're going to be able to just sort of run past all of these mobs. As I'm only little at the moment, I'm actually sort of sticking around to kill them. So, Henry Hawthorne, loads of missions. Let's start off with the red ones. Red missions are basically kill stuff, yellow missions are sneaky, and green missions are investigation missions, so sort of they require a little bit more thought, and often sort of riddle solving, and sort of they're the ones where you have to be really on the lookout for sort of clues to lead you along. They are one of the best bits of Secret World. They show fantastic game design. They're really sort of good fun to work out. On the downside, once you've done them, you've kind of done them. Which, yeah, I'm sort of, it's hard to be surprised the second time round. So, a well-warded Illuminati charge. Why did I do that? That was the wrong button. Oh. Unquiet dead. Well, we'll have to quiet him down then. There we go. And so we still have to draw those first wards. Now, I know from experience that that ring that sort of Eric and Mindy lost comes from this grave. You can hunt around for it. Bound by death. So I've just kind of stuck the hand back in. And yeah, rather implies that someone's been digging up corpses. But I'm hoping that this is after the fog came in and not before, because that's just kind of creepy. So once again, just drawing wards on graveyard fences. Nothing came to attack me that time, which is a pleasant change. So ward completed. Vengeful Hulk has just spawned out there. Now this guy's casting big telegraphs on the floor, which gives me plenty of time to move out of. And that is... this place is clean! Or some shit like that. That little talisman that I just got is a... yeah, it's probably an attack rating one. If I mouse over rather than click, then yeah, 34 attack rating. That means that that is definitely attack rating as well, which is awesome. It should help to increase my damage output once again. Now, in the name of working out how much time it's taken so far. So far I've done 1 hour, 9 minutes and 42 seconds. And yeah, I obviously have a fair ways to go, but it's getting there. So the next one is classed as hard. A Sacred Place was actually normal versus hard. I'm not going to do that one for now. I'm instead going to do the first investigation mission, which is Kingsmouth Code. This is a real taster as far as investigation missions go. So apologies for all the spoilers, but follow the Illuminati symbols. Oh look, there's one on the manholes. And all of the manholes in Kingsmouth will basically point you in the correct direction that you want to be going. So just follow the manholes. another of those moments when I wish I had a faster sprint. So if I get to the end, then suddenly it turns me this way. And then this way. And these are Draugr. These are basically Viking Smurfs. An army of the dead from the underworld, ruled by Hel. That's only the one L, who herself is a interesting lady, as half of her is beautiful and half of her is like rotting and corpsey, and the sort of half and half vertically. So half of her face is a ruined mess, and the other half is like row. But yeah, this is her army. So we actually get to meet Hel when it comes to Christmas, as she rocks up there. Not entirely sure why they decided that, but to each their own. And this is actually where they've been pointing us to. So, in the seat of power, the Navigator immortalized, illuminating the path to a sleeping priest and Fletcher. Yeah, and that's all the information you're given. Now, you can do stuff like look up the quote, you can sort of try and sort of think about stuff like the fact that, and if you want to see it again, you can actually just open the quest log and click show image. Initially I was like, oh yeah, lighthouse, I need to go to the lighthouse, and no. Instead, there's a little town hall, which some of you may be going, where? I know I did. Where's the town hall gone? Am I on the wrong street? Or did I just run past it like a doof? I am on the wrong street. Oh dear. And I think I've also managed to find one of the rare times when I can't cut through. So you'll see that the green is slowly ticking down because the auto crit buff is actually time limited. It needs to be within, I think it's sort of like next 30 seconds that you have to hit something. There's a town hall, and look, it's got a kind of lighthousey thing on top, and a raven. So if we go in here, there's a load of clickable artworks. And yeah, I know that it's this one. So, time is the providence of kings and gods. The hands of time point to the truth written by kings in the word of God. Yeah. That means that we need to have a look at clocks. So we got, what, 10:10. 10 past 10. And so now, if we bring up the in-game browser quickly, and we go google.com, you can obviously tab out, but the in-game browser is here so that we can actually look stuff up. So, Book of Kings, 10:10. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold. That's useful. And we were talking about sort of finding the place of a priest. So there's actually a location here called Priest House, which is up next to the church. And here we have it. A little bit of lore behind it. Here's Priest House. And here's some more zombies trying to eat my vase again. Naughty zombies. And there is a secure keypad. So if we use that, we then prompted for, well, we're not prompted for anything. But if we put in 120, I'm hopeful. Yep. And now, pop down into the basement. Love the fact it's an Illuminati computer. Nuts. Light conquers all. So, trying to remember where the picture of this is. I could have done that. Right, I'm gonna close that for the moment. That's that. I don't just click that, you idiot. Do any of the earlier ones come in handy? There we go. Lux Omnia Wing Kit. There we go. Access the secure items. And there they are. So I'm on 3 AP at the moment. How much am I getting? Another 2 AP. That's nice. And some SP as well. So I'm going to spend my SP first. Then I've got 5. Stunning Spell is the ability I want next, really, so I'm going to hold off on spending any AP. Right, and so let's do a play it again. 1 hour 19, and I'm going to take a break for a bit. So, hope you've enjoyed it, and catch you in the next session.